In this video, I'll try to help you determine when it's time to let go of your wargaming miniatures. If you've been in this hobby even a little while, then you hear and see people talk online, whether it's on videos or podcasts or even blogs or whatever, about their pile of shame. Some choose to call them instead their pile of potential, which I kind of prefer, and for some folks, it's not really even a pile. I mean, for some folks it is. It's actually, 3 or 4 boxes over on the end of their hobby desk, and it's a little pile. They're going to get to those as soon as they finish these. But for some people, maybe it's a drawer of potential, or maybe a whole chest of drawers, or a shed, or a basement. But what that pile of shame, pile of potential, whatever it means, is it's the models that you own that you haven't built yet, you haven't painted yet. And, to some people, that's troublesome. And to some people, they look at it and they go, man, I'm set for years now, and it's cool. People spend in different ways. People collect and then use the models and the stuff that they have different ways in this hobby. There's kit bashing. I'm a big fan of kit bashing. And I like to have, in many situations, sometimes I will buy kits just for kit bashing. A lot of Necromunda stuff I have purchased, not with the idea of I'm going to run that gang, but in that I'm going to use those models for all kinds of other cool, fun stuff. Sometimes you buy a kit from some company and it comes with, 10 models on the sprue, and then extra weapons and lots of extra heads and extra pouches and all that kind of stuff. And if you're like me, you keep all that stuff. Sometimes you clip it up and put it in those little clear cases. Sometimes you just leave them in the boxes. Sometimes you litter them around your hobby area, and that's not necessarily the best plan, but it's there. And when you do this, you have the ability to be able to do a lot of kit bashing. Other people are super into vintage gaming, so they like to have old stuff, that they've been looking around for, Tomb Kings, for the old Warhammer Fantasy. Maybe they're holding on to those because eventually they're going to build a Tomb Kings army and they're going to play 4th edition Warhammer Fantasy, and that's their dream, and that's really cool too. Sometimes it's just keeping up with the Joneses. If you're a competitive player, you play this army for a while, and then all of a sudden the new hotness comes out, whatever it might be in the meta, and you've got to do that next. It's all really up to the individual. Also, people have different thresholds for how much unpainted stuff in their pile or basement is too much, and that can make them feel bad. Some people, have no problem with it. I generally am relatively unaffected by having tons of stuff that I haven't gotten to yet. It comes down to a situation for me of like, am I ever going to? Because then I should probably shift it. Maybe somebody will enjoy it more. Other folks are just like, I bought these things, I spent this money, but I'm not doing it, whether it's a motivation issue or analysis paralysis. Sometimes you have so much stuff you don't know what to do next, that kind of thing. And you don't want to feel bad from your hobby. I've talked about that a bunch of times. But, there are also people out there, I'm told, people who don't buy more minis until the minis that they're painting now are finished. They build them, they paint them, and then they're finished. And then they go and they buy another set of miniatures to build and to paint next. I've heard tell of those folks, but I've also heard of Bigfoots and Chupacabras and whatnot as well. So, So most of us generally have models that we haven't got to yet, a pile of shame, a pile of potential, however you want to take a look at it. And the question comes down to, what's your threshold? It could be completely based on space. You share an apartment with 2 other people and you don't have a ton of space to be able to bring in box after box after box of minis and terrain and all kinds of stuff like that. So you have to be very kind of wary about having too many things because they will clutter up your space. Maybe you've got a low threshold for clutter. I don't, but maybe you do. Maybe it's a money thing. Maybe it's just that you're like, I bought all this stuff and I don't know that I'm going to use it. I could really use the money. So maybe I should think about flipping it or, getting it on eBay or who knows, all those different kinds of things that you can potentially do. And again, like I said before, maybe it's something that just affects you mentally. Too much of that stuff, whether it's a clutter issue or just this is money sitting on the table, like literally, or anything else. If it's causing you some sort of mental damage, for lack of a better term, you shouldn't necessarily have to, have it there. knowing your threshold is important to help you to begin figuring out what can stay and what should go. So here are 4 random things that I pulled out of my basement of shame, basement of potential, however you want to talk about it. Things that I need to figure out what I want to do with. Here's an example right off the bat. Here are some Assault Squad Space Marines from Games Workshop, a plucky little company that I really hope does make it one of these days. I bought these probably for an army that I was going to use in the past. I don't think I bought these for Kill Team because I don't know that you could ever use jump jet guys in Kill Team. I could be wrong. I mean, you could have put the regular just, backpacks on them and stuff like that, and you got a pistol with a chainsaw. That's fine in Kill Team. I'm pretty sure in the previous version. I haven't looked real hard at 2021 as it comes to TAC Marines like this. I do know I used some other ones of these that were built for that same project that were sitting around when I recently talked about the new contrast washes and stuff. I primed a bunch of these guys white, and then I put wash on them and all that kind of stuff. If you want to see that video, pachow. I noticed that the models are kind of old, like really old, like a lot of big, thick, chunky mold lines and stuff just kind of out of register and low detail. After painting a bunch of the new stuff, Primaris and whatnot, those are much better models than these. I, hate to say it, but it's true. It's just technology and stuff, I assume. So this is something, and it's completely still in the shrink. Evidently, at some point, I paid $27 for it. I think it's going to end up going on to eBay. I have no idea where this came from. If I had to guess, I would say it was probably in one of the swag bags from Adepticon many years ago. This is a Scorn Desert Hydra Gargantuan. I've never played. I played War Machine, like 2nd edition. I never played 3rd, and I never played Hordes, so it's unlikely I would have bought this for myself. I have a suspicion I held on to it for as long as I have because I'm like, well, it's a pretty cool sculpt, and I could use it for something, and that is very possibly the case. But it's been around so long, I can't remember where it even came from, so probably not something I'm going to hold on to much longer. It's probably going to get shifted someplace and go on to, again, someplace. And I'll mention the places I usually go through down below next, But yeah, this is this is a cool sculpt, and there's some cool stuff I could do with it, but I haven't yet, so maybe not. I got a wild hair a number of years back that I was going to get into. Well, I used to play Flames of War, World War II, 10 to 15 millimeter scale, depends on who you talk to. I used to play that, haven't played it in a very long time, and then Team Yankee came out, which was slightly more interesting to me because it's alternate history. It's what if World War III happened in the 80s, kind of around West to East Germany, that kind of area. And so this is a Team Yankee convenience store. Now, I wasn't really interested in playing Team Yankee per se. I was interested in actually playing the game Tanks: The Modern Age, which was kind of using the same models. It was sort of affiliated. They have now, of course, discontinued it. But still got a little tiny convenience store in here, which is already pre-painted and everything. And with terrain, I'm not usually going to shift terrain and throw it if I'm like, oh, no, I'm going to sell it. Because terrain can be used in all kinds of situations. So I don't usually ever get rid of terrain, but like I said, this is real small, 10 to 15 millimeter size, and I don't play any other games at that size. So this, and I think I have a little tiny factory, and maybe a little tiny parking lot, and some other stuff that I bought for this, and it hasn't gone anywhere, and I don't know anybody else who plays it, and they've discontinued Tanks: The Modern Age, so now would be a good time to shift it. I made a pretty big mistake in 2019. I've made mistakes just about every year, I'm sure. While I was at Adepticon that year, I bought heavily into a game called The Other Side, which is kind of an army-scale version of Malifaux to some degree. It's by Weird Games. And I know there are people out there that enjoy it, and that's cool. I really loved this big fishman. I bought a bunch of models. I bought basically enough of a force for 2 players. Again, like I said, kind of a big mistake because nothing's gone on with it since. And so there's that. This big fishman is really cool, and normally I'd be like, well, this would be like a fun guy to paint. I like fishmen. It's actually fishmen riding on a giant fishman. You can see those guys there. And one of the big benefits of this game is that the models are pre-built. Sort of. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but most of his fisherman little friends are knocked off, which you can glue them on. It's not hard. But there's also really big gaps. Like really big gaps in this model all over the place. Running up to his mouth. running along the sides of his arms and all that kind of stuff. The other big model that I bought for this was a big robot guy for the English force or whatever, and he was missing an arm. Like, it was in the box, but it had just come off, and just, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to glue that back on. He's got really big gaps as well around his legs and all kinds of different places, so I could just start spraying him and then go to town, but he's gonna look like he's made out of puzzle pieces. So again, I haven't done anything yet. Maybe I should think about, getting rid of him. I have a weird relationship with painted miniatures. When I paint a miniature, I just can't sell it. So here's this this Helldrake that I painted a number of years ago when I was still playing 40K, and it was a pain in the butt to paint. And he turned out pretty well. I like him well enough, but he has no particular use in, if I was to even start doing Kill Team, I can't really use him very easily in any of the other small skirmish things that I play. I mean, I guess he could just be some sort of big monster or whatever, but whether I have a use for him or not, I'm never going to sell him because I just don't seem to be able to sell painted miniatures. I can sell built miniatures all day long. If I haven't painted them yet, not a problem. But if it's been painted, I just don't think I can sell it. Now, that would make me a terrible commission painter, but you might be like, hey, I painted these a long time ago. I don't even want to see them anymore. I paint better than that now, or I just don't care, or whatever. And it comes up to you as to whether you should decide it is now time for these to leave. There are a lot of ways to get rid of things if you want to. I've kind of mentioned eBay a couple of times. That's probably the most well-known. If it's models that are already still in shrink, if it's whatever, miniatures, terrain, all that kind of stuff, still in the shrink, yeah, that'll shift pretty well on eBay. Even if it's like open in box but everything's in there, or even if it's just parts, you don't want to just sell like bits and things like that. All that stuff, that's a place that most people go when they're like, hey, I'm really looking for this model, I can't find any stores. I think I'll check on eBay. That's the first place people go. Facebook Marketplace, somewhat. One of the nice benefits to Facebook Marketplace is it's kind of rare that it actually works. But the nice thing sometimes is that maybe somebody who doesn't live so far away from you is interested in buying it, and then you can meet someplace like in a parking lot when plenty of light and all that kind of, and then it saves on shipping and stuff like that. But you can also ship things via Facebook Marketplace if you want to as well. The big benefit to going with places like eBay, places like Facebook Marketplace, places like Bartertown, at bartertown.com, still out there. I checked. The benefit of that is that people from all over the world potentially could be interested in that particular weird thing that you're trying to sell and then want to buy it. They've been looking for that little convenience store still in the shrink for years, and it's not available anywhere, and nobody's got it, and you're just like, I don't want this anymore, and then they're real happy, and you can sell it, and everybody's happy. So places like that where you're selling online are very cool. But there's also swap meets. Sometimes your local gaming store will have a swap meet just to get people in the door. Maybe they get like, hey, if you want to sell stuff, you have to pay us $5, but then you get a little area and you can set things up. You can do that. A lot of stores do that. Gaming clubs, if your gaming club is big enough, sometimes you do that. Sometimes you're just selling and trading with your friends. Sometimes you don't even want it anymore, and you don't even want money. You'd be like, hey, Dave, do you want this? And Dave's like, sure. And now it's Dave's problem. So if you're absolutely happy and content with your pile of potential, that's awesome. That's great. But if you think that you have maybe too much and it's making you feel nervous or anxious, or you just know that you're never going to get to it now due to some sort of changing plans, like, oh, I was going to play this game, it was awesome, and then that guy moved away, and now I'm not playing that anymore, and this stuff is sitting here, that kind of thing. And, somebody else could probably enjoy it or whatever, or maybe you just need the money or even just the space. Think about letting go of some of your miniatures and terrain, and hopefully you'll be a little bit happier, maybe even a little bit, heavier in the wallet when you're done. If this was helpful for you, if you liked this video, it'd be great if you could click the little like thing down there below. It really does help the channel. If you would like to subscribe, I would appreciate it as well. And you can do it, and it's for free. Thanks for watching.